Okay, don't know what's happening. Hi everybody. Does anyone else do this? I'm like, I just did a training in my inner circle group and I was sitting on the couch and I'm like, I just need to sit on the ground. So many times my daughter's like, why are you sitting on the ground? Why don't you just sit on the couch? I think I just like to be on the ground. Something massive is about to happen on Earth. Maybe that's why I'm needing to be on the Earth while I'm talking about this. Kind of funny. All right, I'm just sharing this live stream and I will be present with you guys. I have a really important message to share. Who agrees and who can feel that something massive is about to happen on Earth? Who also feels that? I'm so curious. All right, sharing this in one more place. If this is your first time to my live stream, let me know. Page is taking its time loading. I got some notes because I want to share some important messages. And now it's deciding not to load, so whatever's. Try again. Okay, let's try again. This is a really important message. This is for those who are dedicated to changing the world. This is for those who know that there is something greater than us that we cannot explain. This is for those that can feel something huge coming to our planet, to your life, to the earth, to everything that's changing and going on. And this is for you if you're here for it all. The good, the bad, the light, the dark, the whole thing. Yeah? All right, finally it's letting me share. Bear with me. Yay. Okay. Finally it shared. Now I can bring up the comments and I can speak to you guys with presence. Internet's going really slow. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm just gonna leave this here for the comments and see what's going on because I got my little notes that I want to share here. And so if you're wanting to do live streams and scared of forgetting what you're going to say, did you know it's okay to write notes so that you don't forget? Okay. Something big is coming to Earth. Something big is happening on Earth. Something big is happening and it's going to affect every single person. So if you've read my world energy updates, for some people it's way too long. I understand that. I'm a writer, so I will write. So, something big is happening on Earth. Who can feel that? Like, who agrees with that? Who can feel something massive coming? Okay. Now, everybody also knows, but a lot of people know. People who are awake in the community also know that a lot of people have been waking up. A lot of people have been waking up. A lot of people have been doing the work, okay, especially in the last 5 years. There's been like a dramatic increase in the last 5 years. And there's a lot of people that are coming out and running workshops and running retreats and doing all the thing, right? Whereas in the past before then, it was sort of like, oh yeah, those people do that. But now it's like a lot of people do that, yeah? A lot of young people do that. A lot of people have stepped up to do it, okay? Nothing wrong with it. All for it, okay? But there has been a significant shift, especially in this last 5 years. And we all know that 2020, it was like, as much as it halted people and there was a lot of grief about a lot of things a lot of people were doing, at the same time, it also woke people up because a lot of people got time to stop in their life. And for the first time, for a lot of people, that's the first time people have ever stopped. They otherwise go, work. Like it's constant, right? So for the first time in 2020, a lot of people were forced to stop. Some people didn't like it. Some people did. Some people, it brought up a lot of stuff. Let's all agree that it created a bucket load of change for a bucket load of people. We can all agree on that, okay? In whichever way, shape or form, yeah? The thing is that this, like, something massive's happening on Earth. It's gonna happen. As I'd written in my, my world prediction update, my really long one that not everybody read, the reality is of some major catalytic event happening on Earth is unknown. What is known is that the catalytic event is happening here in consciousness. Now, there is no denying the fact that there's a lot of earthquakes, volcanoes, shit going down, continental plates shifting more than what they usually do. Like, that's undeniable. At the same time, were we really that conscious of it a couple of years ago? Or is it just that it's more in our awareness now? And why would it be more in our awareness now? Oh, because people in their life are going through huge catalytic change. There is so many people changing their life right now. And so many people are changing their life from the fallout of 2020, and it made them reassess. There's a lot of people that are at a point now where they're like, if I don't make changes now, I'm never going to make changes. There's a wake up happening, right? Whether it started in 2020, whether it was before that, whether it was something else, whether it's just time, it doesn't really matter. The thing is that when you can feel something huge happening on the earth, or we're going to run out of food, or there's more abundance for everyone, or I don't know, there's something massive coming, a tsunami, earthquakes, the world's going to shift, the poles are going to go ballistic and everything's going to fall apart. Like, the reality is that your life is transforming on some huge catalytic way. Like, it is, if you think about it. You're not who you were 6 months ago. You're not who you were 12 months ago. You're definitely not who you were 5 years ago. And you are undergoing a massive transformation. So if you're feeling the world events, if you feel like something massive is going to happen, it's probably really connected to your own life. 100%. And because we're so intuitive and we can sense changes like the animals well before in advance before they happen, what happens is that we're like, oh, something's going to happen, because what's happening inside of you and in your psyche and in your collective consciousness, like that's being affected by the world consciousness, because there's so many people waking up right now, is that this shift is what we can feel. Who remembers the sugar cube pyramid demonstration? I shared it a little while ago. For those of you who haven't seen it and would like to know what I'm talking about, you can just type in sugar cube and I'll send you the link. This woman did a demonstration a couple of years ago, right? About how everything's shifting from the inside out. And also, apparently, like, you know how we also say, like, there's 90% subconscious and 10% conscious, right? People are 10% conscious and 90% subconsciously awake, yeah? When there's 90% and 10% conscious, that's like a huge subconscious, like unconsciousness running the show. It's like the world's in chaos, right? However, in the last 5 years especially, so many people have woken up. So many people are doing past life healing, changing their past history, releasing past hurts and pains and trauma from their heart, from their life experience, from all different timelines, whether it be past life, parallel, future timelines. Like, so many people have been doing so much work. That has to affect the collective consciousness. Like, let's be real. This whole, like, in the next few months, the world is going to see something that we've never seen before. I still solely believe that. However, is it going to be some catalytic, huge land mass continental pole shift? I mean, it could be, but that might also not happen for another couple of centuries. Like, let's be real. We don't actually know, because the earth shifts and it always shifts. Are we more conscious of it these days, or is it always been going on like this and we have more devices and technology to be able to track it? Like, let's be real, right? What we do know, and Chiron had actually said this a couple of years ago, someone had said to me, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense, that it's actually not 90% unconscious and 10% conscious anymore. It's actually 70-30. And that was probably maybe 3 years ago. And I was like, oh, well, that makes sense to me, because so many people have been waking up. Like, of course, that's going to shift the scale. Now, that was a couple of years ago. If I'm intuitively feeling into it, is it 60-40? Is it almost 50-50? 50% conscious, 50% unconscious? What happens when we get to 60% conscious and 40% unconscious? That's going to be a pole shift, isn't it? That's going to be a complete flip, isn't it? Because you can't stop consciousness awakening. All these people who are scared about what the big powers to be are doing is almost irrelevant to the fact of the power that is awakening inside of you, and the power that is awakening inside of all humans, that is affecting the collective consciousness right now, that is shifting everyone at the same time. And I think the big pole shift is the world waking up and going, whoa. Now, I believe that by 2027 is when people are going to be like, right, let's do this change. Whereas the next couple of years, people are going to be like, and even now, there's a lot of people who are awake, but they don't know what to do with that information. They're like, this is so big, I'm going to go back to sleep, but they can't. Who knows that feeling when we try to wake up and like we try to go back to sleep when we're awake? It doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. There's definitely many of us who have wanted to go back to sleep at times when we're awake, and we're just like, oh my God, why am I conscious of this? And I don't know. There's so many of us that have been there, right? So the really big shift. Now, this is the sort of disclaimer clause on this. Everybody knows that when we're trying to manifest something in our life, like money, relationship, goals, achievements, whatever we're manifesting, okay? Whatever we're manifesting, we know that there's a certain amount of internal work, psychological, vibrationally, physically, change that we need to make and hold in our reality, like in our vibration, in our being, before it ripples out and actually changes what's happening in your reality, and your reality changes. Like, we all know that we need to hold a certain mindset, do the psychological mindset change work, clear traumas, shift your body, shift your vibration, meditate, do all your things. Like, there's a certain amount of time we need to do that inner work before we see any external change. We all know that, right? A lot of people give up when it gets hard, which means they're just about to have a breakthrough. Don't be one of those people, okay? If it gets harder when you've been doing that work, you're about to have a breakthrough, please don't give up. Breakthrough, okay? Hold it until you break through. So important. Everybody knows that, okay? Everybody knows that we hold a certain mindset, a psychological work. We've healed our traumas. We've opened our heart again. We're being this certain vibration. Like, everybody fucking knows that. That we hold it. It's like the pond, the pebble in the pond. It ripples out in our reality, Our vibration's changing. Relationships fall apart. Oh my God, my job. I just lost my job. Oh my God, this shit happened and this shit happened. It's like, oh my fucking God. Like, what's happening here? Keep going. That's what's happening. It's starting to ripple out. That means your reality is going to change. Shit's going to break down. Technological stuff. Land shifts, okay? Stuff changes in the external because you've been holding a different vibration to what you've always done. Like, that is what manifestation is. Reality changes. Yeah? Some people get scared of that because we're creatures of habit and we like comfort, okay? But to change something, it shifts in our reality, okay? And so if you really think about it, like the huge shift's going to happen on Earth, it might not happen for another few centuries or whatever, like or another 1,000 years, we actually don't know. Astrologers might tell you something different, another psychic might tell you something different, but the reality is nobody fucking knows the future, okay? Nobody knows the future. Nothing is set in stone because the future is created by this moment, and anybody and everyone can choose a different thing in each moment, which is going to change the trajectory. Let's be real. Future's not solid. Nothing's solid, by the way. Nothing is still. Everything's always moving, right? On a very atomic level, everything's always moving. It means it just changes. Everybody knows that reality changes from this moment. It transforms into something else. It's always moving, right? It's constant, right? And with that constant moving, we can influence that, and it's always changing. So nothing is set in stone, okay? So, yeah, Nicole says consciousness awakening has to happen for humanity to realize that the only thing matters is why we are here. Yeah, well, why are we here? Nobody really knows that either. But what we do know is that as we hold a certain vibration and it ripples out into our reality, reality changes. So on a collective scale, if it's true that it's like now 70% unconscious and 30% conscious in the collective scale, again, who really knows that information? But whatever's, right? Let's work with that. Okay, and if it's now 60-40, what happens when it's 50-50? Okay, is that consciousness awakening? Is it something outside of ourselves? Is it God? Or is it humans waking up and doing the inner work, and we're all holding a different vibration, and we're all stepping into our power, and we're all realizing we're powerful, and we're all realizing we're being duped, and we go through a healing process, and then we heal all other stuff, and then we're like, this is what I do now, right? The more of us that do that, of course it's going to flip, and of course it's going to shift things in our external reality. Old systems are going to fall. Every empire reigns and falls because they're trying to power and control societies. Sure, there needs to be boundaries. Sure, there needs to be, rules and regulations to an extent. The only rules and regulations is that we own our own power, is that we stand up for our truth, is that we live in our heart and our wholehearted self, right? We could go on to like all the woo-woo stuff, that we love more, that we do more joy, that we do all, and it's kind of true. Because the reason people don't like feeling trapped or in the monotonous 9-to-5 job is because they want freedom, but most people won't leave because they're scared of freedom. It's the same thing. And like, if you get asked, like, if you weren't working, what would you be doing? A lot of people are like, I don't know. If you really wanted to be doing what you really wanted to be doing, what would you want to do? And the people who are like, I'd be doing this, this, and this, 99% of the time, they actually already are. The people who are like, I don't know. And it's okay to not know for a while, by the way. That's a recalibration point, right? And we're finding what we do want to do. That's important to know. There's nothing wrong with that. So the earth is something massive is happening on earth. Is consciousness awakening? Is the internal affecting the external? This could be in your own private life. It could be you being pulled along by the collective shift that's happening. Either or, I think it's really important that you know that any change that is happening is something that you have spurred on yourself. There is somewhere deep inside of you where you've wanted a better life in some way, shape, or form. That something in your life is unsatisfactory and you've been asking for more. You've been asking for more happiness, more love, more money, more experiences, more freedom, more career, more clients, more sales, more whatever the fuck you've been asking for, okay? There is nothing wrong with more. We live in an abundant universe with infinite possibilities, okay? There is no limit to anything at all. Whatever your mind can conceive, you can achieve is truth. And the more you anchor in and hold that vibration, the more that your reality is going to turn into magic and shift. The shift that's happening on earth, the massive thing that's happening on earth, right? And if you really feel like, oh my God, something massive is going to happen, you are about to have a massive breakthrough. If everything is falling apart, keep going. Don't give up, okay? You're about to have the friggin' breakthrough. Do not give up right now, okay? The dedicated ones are the ones who know this, hold this, continue to hold what they've been doing in the internal work, because the pond is rippling out. Those waves are rippling out, and eventually it's going to hit the wall and it's going to come back, and your reality is going to be like, oh, this is what I've been working for, and now it's finally starting to work. Oh my God, I'm so glad I didn't give up. I'm so glad I kept going. Now, again, the external reality could shift, right? And trust where you're being called to be with that, okay? Trust where you're being called to be. Trust where you're being called to do. Trust where you're being called to all the things. So important, because the more you can stay in that trust, the more you're going to be in exactly where you're meant to be. Does anyone have any questions about what I've shared? Karen says, I'm trying to move. I have become a lump. I try to do something at least every day. Yes, awesome. I'm not giving up, but moving like a sloth. Yeah, there's huge solar flares that are affecting everything too. The more you can get outside, the more you can work with your circadian rhythms as well, is really going to help that. Yeah. Yes, Julie says, like, I tell myself often I can't give up now, keep going. Yeah, honestly, sometimes the hardest times can go for like 18 months or 3 years, and we're like, oh my God, what am I doing? Many people, people tell me to give up. That's why I don't tell them anymore. Just do it, right? Because you do break through. You do get there, right? When you're shifting your entire reality, Cut yourself some slack, right? Okay. Nicole says, we are here to experience love for ourselves and love for humans and love for our creator. Yes, love is a huge part of it for sure. Does anyone have any questions? Yes, got to keep moving forward. 100%. 100% do. I feel like there's something else I needed to say to this. I'm just checking my notes. I've got them all squashed in on my note. My little note. I'm like, oh, and this and this. Yeah. There was still one other thing. What was it? So this live stream is called, I've just come out of like 4 trainings this morning. And it's only 9:20 in the morning. See how much you can do in a day? There's no excuses. Something huge is happening on earth. Thank you very much. Oh yes, see, this is the other little bit I want to say. So as I'd written in my very, very long world update that most people don't read, which is fine. I'm just a writer. That's it. Is that even though with everything I said, I fully believe it's true. When we feel something massive about to happen, we're usually about to have a big consciousness shift, whether that's internally yourself, in your life, big breakthrough, or a collective consciousness shift. It could be all the things, yeah? At the same time, I listened to, and I did share this in my long written forecast, Pam Gregory, astrologer, shared about the full moon coming up next week, new moon in Virgo, I think, from the top of my head. And I used to listen to her stuff all the time, and then I just sort of catch what I'm drawn to listening to intuitively. Haven't listened to it for a while, listened to it, and I was like, yeah, that's what I can feel. There actually is huge astrological lineups coming up. There's the eclipse coming up. We're coming up on solstice, equinox as well. Like, there's big, astrological things happening now. In my regional 2020 January 2022, oh my God, 2020 prediction, I said between March and August, some massive things are happening. That was like 3 years ago. And I was like, oh, were I 3 years too early? Because I can feel something now for March and August, like between March and August. And if we look at what's happening on the planet, if we listen to Pam Gregory's forecasts, and I was like, well, that makes sense. I'm like, was I 3 years too early with that prediction back then for the March to August? Is it just another consciousness shift? Are we actually going to start to see some real big changes, which ultimately the earthquakes have been pretty consistent. The solar flares have been pretty consistent. Next year as well, apparently we're supposed to get huge solar storms, and originally I saw 2024 being a black line through, when I looked at the lines, when I looked at the years up to 2030. 2024 was a black line. I'm like, is that when a lot of people were going to pass away from, the thing? Is it You know, like I don't know. And now I'm like, and I've seen it several times now that there's huge solar storms due next year, and I'm like, well, that can wipe out a lot. Is that what the black line is? So, you know, whether it's a consciousness shift, whether it's a huge collective wake up, which, you know, really does ring true on a deep down soul level, because of what I was sharing before about 90% subconscious, 10% conscious, is now apparently 70% unconscious, 30% conscious. It was a couple of years ago. Is it now 60-40? Is it 50-50? Because when it's 50-50, that's going to tip the scales, right? And we all know what happens when you go over the line of 50-50, like, you know? So that's a thing, you know? Again, this is not to scare. This is to stay aware. If you haven't listened to Pam Gregory Astrologer, if you type in Pam Gregory Astrologer on YouTube, it's her March full moon, I think it's full moon of Virgo video. Really interesting, just what's coming up, you know? Good to keep in alignment. Like, I'm sure there's other astrologers out there. I just love her work. You know, if you want to listen and tune into that, like, it's good to be aware. It's good to be aware. It's good to be conscious. It's good to stay in your heart. It's good to stay in alignment. It's good to live each life as you can, each day as you can. It's good to, you know, like, trust yourself and do that, because if it is the end of the world today or tomorrow, what do you actually wish you did today? Do you wish that you moped around some more in your broken heart? Or do you wish that you lived every fucking day as if it was your last and made the best time ever and loved your loved ones more and just enjoyed life? Because what if it is the last day tomorrow on earth? You'll be like, fuck, why did I waste my time worrying about that shit? Okay? And you want to know a manifestation trick? That's how you should be living. If you want to pull in your desires and your dreams, you should be fucking living that way. Period. 100%. Like, and I'm not saying I'm all for crying when you need to cry. I'm all for following your cycles. I'm all for healing from a broken heart. Like, I'm the queen of that shit, okay? But you must also choose to live your life as if it was your last day on earth today. If that was the case, what would you be doing? What would you be doing? Go and fucking do that, like, now. Don't put it off. Don't make excuses. Washing can wait, or maybe you need a clean house. Do that. Like, it's more important about trusting the flow, trusting this, because who knows what's coming next year. And as Julie just said here, I read that something huge is happening planned in 2024. It's a black line. I saw it as a black line. What does that mean? I don't know, but I keep seeing and being shown things, and I'm like, something's happening. Whether it's solar flares, whether it's planned stuff, whether it's a combination, whether it's a wake up of consciousness and the poles shift. And when I say the pole shift, sure, it might be an external, are they even real? Magnetic shift. Or if you look at it on a consciousness level of the poles, like of consciousness, like that scale of, like, you know, 70-30 and 60-40. Like, if we look at consciousness awakening and the subconscious is not 90% anymore, like, that's, you know, that's what's been shared in prophecies for years around us coming back into the light. That's consciousness. Unconsciousness is dark. Plain and simple. We know that, right? So when we really look at, like, the flick and the pole shift, I'm like, well, that's a consciousness shift too. Consciousness would have to shift to affect the external, because everything's in here and we're all connected to that in here, right? Are we? I've been on calls all morning, so I've been talking all morning. Bianca says, wow, I just chimed in and I just thought about not being good enough this morning, about not being good enough. And well, here you are. So it has to be something that I'm here catching all this. Yes, do replay, right? And maybe this is your thing of, like, if I died tomorrow, would I be happy that I wallowed around in my grief thinking that I'm not good enough to freaking do what I really want to do? No. And I'm not talking about throw up all responsibilities to the wind. I'm talking about, like, if I could make the best day of my life happen today, what would I be doing? Maybe it's planning for a trip. Maybe it's, I don't know, doing whatever you want to do. Like if it was the last day on earth tomorrow, do you wish you'd followed your heart more today? And what does that look like? Yeah? No excuses. Yes, exactly. Something huge is happening on earth. I know, and we're all fucking here for it, and we're all here for the ride, and I'm so excited that we're all here together. If ever you get into fear about anything, because there has been some pretty shit scary stuff going on the planet, and if we look at the programming, it's like, well, fucking shit get bad. And we also know that we have the power to influence that, to hold our power, and that no one has power over us, and we hold our ground on that, because it's only if we give permission. And the more of us that hold that in the collective, the more of that 50-50. Yeah? Yeah. All right. If you are one of the ones who is ready to break through to the next level, if you are ready to smash that glass ceiling, if you are sitting at a breakthrough point and you're like, I know I need to do this, and you're like, but I can't seem to break through this ceiling, Dedicated is my one-on-one mentoring program where we meet together one-on-one for 8 weeks solid, right? There's a specific process I'm taking you through for 8 weeks to like uncover, unravel, and 8 weeks is a deep dive. Plus you get the one-on-one support in between via Telegram, which is a very powerful vortex to be in this dedicated space. This is where you can earn the capacity of beyond your worth, because really your worth is not measurable, but the earning capacity will be at some sort of level, and this is what we're going to break through. So if you have a business, or if you're an entrepreneur in some way, shape or form, if you are wanting to earn more income and you're in like a fixed income in a specific little like job, and you're like, oh, but I couldn't get more money if I tried, like, no, this is where we break you through, because today is the day to live and to shift and create the life that you know you're really born for, instead of turning up and staying in the fear capsule, because that's not what you're here for. You know that, your heart knows that. So Dedicated is 8 weeks working one-on-one with me. We turn up to weekly calls. These are big deep dives. So if you're ready to shift trauma, if you're ready to shift into abundance, if you're ready to stop telling the same stories and actually move your life, Dedicated is for you and for me, working one-on-one. I'll pop the link in the comments because I actually haven't put it on, but you can find it on my page as well. You can send me a private message. It is closing today, but I'm actually going to extend it until next Wednesday. So send me a message if you'd like more details, or I'll pop the link in now as well. I haven't changed it on the page yet, but I am going to extend it until next Wednesday. Hi, Joy. So I've just popped the link in. Send me a message. Karen says it's worth it. Do it. Yes, I've loved working with you, Karen. Still working with you. So good to be in these long-term containers, because this is where the deep stuff happens. This is where we go deep. If you want real transformative change to change your reality, this is my specialty. This is what I do. I help you change and shift from what you don't want to what you do want. Plain and simple. Link is in there. If you've got any questions, send me a message. Otherwise, I'll see you very soon.